So this movement is a supine backlift. This is useful to access the muscles in the back of the body if it's uncomfortable to lie on the tummy, or if there's something that doesn't quite connect well with you when you're lying on your tummy and you're finding it too challenging. This is an alternative, so that we can tense the back muscles, bring them back into our awareness, feeling the cross-lateral pattern between one shoulder and the opposite hip, and then being able to release and melt down to the floor. So remember, whilst it's good to tense these back muscles up, because we're going to literally go from the neck to the Achilles, it's good to feel them. We really want to focus on the melting out and the letting go within this video. So that's its main purpose. So get yourself comfortable, lie down. Check in just to see how it feels to lie flat to begin with, so that you can notice if there's any lifts or dips in the back. I do have an audio on Soma scanning, so if you would like the audio so that you've got your own little recording to work from before you start your movements, then that's always available. So once you've done your Soma scan, we are going to bring up the right knee, and we're going to go into the right shoulder first. So we've got a straight left leg, we've got a bent right knee, and we've got the right hand behind the head. You don't have to start on the right, you can start on whatever side you want. But just to be clear, we're going to start with the shoulder of the bent elbow, okay? And the bent elbow is the bent knee, so that you are all on that one side, okay? When you're ready, I want you to just see what it would be like to press your head into the palm of the hand that's underneath it, and notice that the back of the neck tightens up, and then ease it off and let it melt. And maybe notice how that feels. Is it uncomfortable? Is it really tight? Is it quite challenging? So maybe press less, or maybe it's hard to feel, so maybe you want to press a tiny bit more. Don't overdo it. But then maybe next time you press your head into your hands, you can think about pressing your right shoulder or the shoulder of the bent elbow into the floor, and just feel, is that possible to do? Or does that feel quite challenging? Would it be easier if you were to press the elbow of that arm into the floor at the same time? Does that open up the ability to move? Ease off. Or does that make it harder? You play around with that. You don't have to add it in, but it might just help you access that shoulder pressing back with a bit more depth. Maybe each time we do it, so keep going at your own pace, maybe each time we do it, we notice how not only we melt out of it and let that right side of the upper back sink back down to the floor and ease the pressure off, but also that the shoulder blade, as we push back, kind of pulls towards the spine a little bit, and maybe even down the back slightly, so that there's tension along the shoulder blade, but there's also space across the chest. And then ease off and let it melt. And each time you do it, you might begin to notice a little bit more and a little bit more. So now I can feel my right rib cage, because this is the shoulder I'm pressing down. I can feel this rib cage arching off the mat and lifting towards the ceiling as the shoulder goes down. And then as I ease off, it all settles back down to the floor. Maybe next time you start to notice any weight that's tipping over to the straight leg. Maybe it isn't, but maybe you can sense something happen. And then we're going to ease it off. And just let that relax. You can keep your arm bent hand behind the head, but I would like it if you could just try and sink that shoulder that you've just moved and you've just pandiculated, and see if you can not do anything with it for a minute. Notice how much you can switch off and let go. And see if you're able to bring some awareness down to this straight leg. Now, you're going to keep your bent knee bent. I'm going to move mine out the way a little bit and straighten it, just so that you can maybe see what I'm doing before I bend it back up to do the movement a little bit more comfortably. But with the straight leg, I'd like it if you could just breathe in and notice if you can press the straight leg into the floor and then ease off. Imagine you are going to make an imprint of this straight leg into the surface that's underneath you. I'm going to bend my other leg back up now because it's a bit more comfortable. What's it like to take a breath and just press that straight leg into the floor? You might even want to flex your toes and feel the Achilles. But does the back of that leg tighten up? And then ease off. Does the knee lock out a little bit? Does the thigh grip? Maybe each time you do it, because you can keep going at your own pace, maybe each time you do it, you notice that you start to arch in the lower back a little bit on that left side. So ease it off, let it melt. Maybe let that happen. As the leg presses into the floor, you let the pelvis tip, so the back lifts a little bit, and you create a pattern of movement that allows the leg to press down with a bit more ease and a tiny bit more depth, just so you can feel it, so that as you ease off and you let go, you feel your back melt all the way down to the floor and your leg softens and unsqueezes. And you might notice next time you do it that actually, is there anything going on in that right shoulder? Is it wanting to help out? Is it wanting to press? You might go, I can feel the pattern starting to work together. So if that's the case, why don't we play around with it and see what would happen if we were to press the left leg and the right shoulder, or the straight leg and the bent elbow shoulder, into the floor at the same time. And then ease it away and let it melt. How does that feel? Maybe try it again. Can you feel those back muscles spring into action as if you're about to jump off your chair and run? And then are you able to calm them down and unsqueeze them and melt them all the way to the floor? Like you've changed your mind, there's nothing that urgent anymore. And you can just relax. If you can, let's try one more. If not, stop and rest. Easing out. And when you've finished, lengthen down both legs and your arm and just see how that feels. What does this left leg and lower back and pelvic area feel like compared to the right side? And what does your right shoulder feel like, or the shoulder you've just moved, feel like compared to the side you haven't moved yet? When you're ready, repeat that on the other side, breaking it down as much as you want. It might be that this is the umpteenth time you're watching this video and you're able to maybe see if you can just put the full movement together at the same time. Maybe you're not ready to do that yet and your sensations need you to break it down with a bit more ease and a bit more slowness so that you can really sense what's going on. But when you've finished both sides, lengthen out, have your final check-in and notice how you feel. And remember, for every back lift and back release that we do, you need to do a curl to lengthen all those muscles out. So make sure you follow this video on with an arch and curl or an arch and cross lateral curl. I hope you enjoy.